Listen to me very carefully right now. I want you to pause whatever you are doing, put your phone flat on the table, close out the extra tabs, and give me your full, undivided attention for the next few minutes. Because what we are about to discuss today is going to permanently alter the way you look at your relationships, your boundaries, and your own self-worth. There is an invisible, silent war being fought in your life every single day. It isn't being fought with armies, politics, or physical weapons. It is being fought for the ownership of your peace, your dignity, and your self-respect. And every time you interact with another human being, you are either winning that war, or you are quietly surrendering your ground. The dividing line between a person who lives with unshakable sovereignty and a person who spends their life feeling drained, used, and second-guessed has nothing to do with luck, money, or social status. It comes down to one brutal, uncompromising truth. You get in life what you are willing to tolerate. Read that sentence again in your mind. The world does not treat you the way you hope it will treat you. The world treats you according to the lowest standard of behavior you allow into your presence. Every time you laugh off an insult, every time you forgive a betrayal without changed behavior, every time you swallow your truth just to keep a toxic person from throwing a tantrum, you are teaching the people around you that your boundaries are purely decorative. Maya Angelou gave us one of the greatest pieces of psychological wisdom in history. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time, not the fifth time, not after 3 years of broken promises, not after they make you doubt your own sanity, the first time. Today, we are breaking down 7 toxic, destructive behaviors that you must never tolerate in your life. Not from casual acquaintances, not from lifelong friends, not from co-workers, and especially not from family members. Because sharing a last name or a childhood memory does not give anyone a lifetime license to disrespect your spirit. Take a slow, deep breath into your belly, square your shoulders, and let's establish your new standard. Behavior 1. The slow cancer of casual disrespect. Let's begin with the foundational bedrock of all human relationships: respect. Disrespect rarely shows up on day one with a marching band. It doesn't walk into the room screaming in your face. Disrespect begins like a tiny crack in the foundation of a house. It starts with a sarcastic comment at a dinner party, a sly dig about your appearance disguised as a joke, someone talking over you every time you try to share an idea in a meeting, or a partner rolling their eyes when you express a genuine concern. And what do most polite, agreeable people do when that happens? They brush it off, they smile awkwardly, they laugh along, they tell themselves, "Oh, they're just having a stressful day. They didn't really mean it like that. I shouldn't be so sensitive." Let me give you a harsh truth. Disrespect is a virus. If you do not isolate it, confront it, and eliminate it immediately, it will spread until it consumes the entire relationship. When someone disrespects you, they aren't just critiquing your words. They are testing your perimeter. They are testing to see how much abuse you will swallow before you push back. And the moment you swallow the first dose without consequences, you give them permission to serve you a double portion tomorrow. Eleanor Roosevelt stated a timeless law of human dignity: no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Stop handing out your consent for free. I do not care if the person disrespecting you is your boss, your best friend from college, or your own sibling. The very second someone crosses the line, you look them dead in the eye, keep your voice completely level, and say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way, and I won't accept it." No yelling, no profanity, no emotional breakdown, just calm, chilled steel. If they apologize, respect the boundary, and adjust their behavior, great. If they get defensive, mock you, or tell you to lighten up, you have all the information you need. You quietly, permanently adjust their access to your life. Behavior 2. the spider web of emotional manipulation. The second behavior you must eradicate is the art of emotional manipulation. Manipulators are psychological illusionists. Their entire goal is to make you dance to their script, while convincing you that dancing was your own idea. They weaponize your empathy against you. They use guilt trips like a blunt instrument. After everything I sacrificed for you, this is how you repay me? They use emotional blackmail. If you really loved me, you would do this without asking questions. They use fear and isolation. Good luck finding anyone else who will put up with your flaws the way I do. Manipulation is especially poisonous when it happens inside family dynamics because it comes wrapped in the sacred packaging of loyalty. They tell you that blood is thicker than water. They tell you that you owe them your mental health, your finances, and your time, simply because you share DNA. Hear me loud and clear. Real love does not manipulate. Real love does not keep an itemized invoice of every nice thing it ever did for you, waiting to throw it in your face the moment you set a healthy boundary. When someone tries to manipulate your decisions, they are attempting to steal your autonomy. They are treating you like an instrument for their own convenience, rather than a sovereign human being. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." When you let someone manipulate you through guilt, shame, or obligation, you are no longer living your life. You are living theirs. Recognize manipulation the moment it enters the conversation. Call it out with calm clarity. I love you, but I will not make decisions out of guilt. If they cannot handle your freedom, they were never interested in your well-being. They were only interested in your compliance. Behavior 3. Chronic blame shifting and the victim mask. The third behavior that should be an immediate deal breaker is dealing with someone who has zero accountability. Have you ever tried having a mature, honest conversation with someone who refuses to own their mistakes? It feels like trying to nail water to a wall. You bring up a specific, hurtful thing they did. You bring facts, you bring dates, you bring your honest feelings, and within 30 seconds, through some bizarre mental gymnastics, they flip the entire script. Suddenly, they are the victim, and you are the cruel attacker. They say, "Well, I only screamed at you because you made that face. I only forgot your birthday because work was stressing me out, and you never support my career. Why are you always bringing up the past and attacking me?" This is the classic tactic of the perpetual victim. A person who refuses accountability is completely incapable of growth. Why? Because in their distorted worldview, they are forever innocent, and the rest of the world is forever broken. They cannot apologize with sincerity, because admitting fault would shatter their fragile ego. John F. Kennedy once remarked, "The great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. The myth that unaccountable people live by is that they bear zero responsibility for the wreckage they leave behind. Do not enable their delusions. Do not apologize for bringing up legitimate issues just to end the argument. When someone consistently refuses to own their part in the fire, let them burn alone. You cannot build a stable house on shifting sand, and you cannot build a healthy connection with someone who refuses to look in the mirror." Behavior 4. The weaponization of reality and gaslighting. Number 4 is one of the most psychologically damaging behaviors on the planet: gaslighting. Gaslighting is the deliberate attempt to make you question your own memory, your own sanity, and your own perception of reality. It sounds like, "I never said that. You're literally making things up. That never happened. You're remembering it completely wrong. You're acting crazy right now. Everybody knows how dramatic you get. You're just being paranoid." The danger of prolonged gaslighting is that it slowly erodes your trust in your own mind. You start second-guessing your memories. You start taking notes on conversations just to prove to yourself that you aren't losing your mind. You begin feeling anxious, disoriented, and completely dependent on the other person to tell you what is real. Marcus Aurelius gave us an unbreakable anchor against this kind of psychological fog. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Trust your senses, trust your gut, trust your lived reality. If someone consistently denies facts that occurred right in front of your eyes, do not spend 2 hours arguing with them to prove you were right. That is the trap. They want the debate. Simply hold your ground in absolute certainty. I know what I saw. I know what was said, and I will not debate my reality with you. End of conversation. A person who tries to distort your reality is attempting to disarm your defenses. Do not let anyone convince you that the sky is green simply because they refuse to admit it is blue. Behavior 5. The habitual betrayal of sacred trust. Number 5 is the repeated violation of sacred trust. Trust is the invisible currency of the human soul. It takes months, years, sometimes decades of steady, consistent actions to build a deep reservoir of trust with another person, and it can be shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces in 30 seconds. Betrayal comes in many forms. It is the friend who takes your deepest, most vulnerable secrets and uses them as casual gossip at happy hour. It is the business partner who cuts backdoor deals behind your back while smiling to your face. It is the romantic partner who looks you in the eyes and lies without flinching. It is the family member who takes financial advantage of your generosity and then acts entitled when you ask for repayment. When trust is broken, the pain is excruciating because it attacks your ability to trust yourself. You think, how could I have been so blind? How did I miss the red flags? How could I have let them in? Listen to me. Being betrayed does not mean you were stupid. It means you had the courage to be open, generous, and human. The shame belongs entirely to the betrayer, never to the one who trusted. Warren Buffett famously said, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it." If you think about that, you'll do things differently. The exact same rule applies to trust. Forgiveness is something you give for your own spiritual peace, so you don't have to carry the poison of bitterness in your chest. But access is something that must be earned. You can forgive someone from the bottom of your heart while simultaneously locking the front gate, changing the locks, and never allowing them within 10 miles of your private life again. Forgiveness without boundaries is just self-sabotage. Behavior 6. Chronic negativity and weaponized cynicism. Number 6 is surrounding yourself with people who treat misery like a full-time profession. We all go through brutal seasons. We all have days where grief, loss, or stress knocks the wind out of our sails, and we need a loyal shoulder to lean on. That is normal. That is part of the human experience. What is not normal, and what you must never tolerate, is the person who has made cynicism, complaining, and bitterness their permanent address. These people are emotional black holes. Every time you share a piece of good news, they find the dark cloud. Every time you talk about an ambitious goal, they give you a 10-minute lecture on why the economy is terrible and why you're going to fail. They complain about their job, their health, their relationships, and the weather. But the moment you suggest a practical solution, they get angry. Why? Because they don't want solutions. They want an audience for their misery. Human emotions are neurologically contagious. If you spend 5 days a week sitting across from someone who views the universe as a bleak, unfair, hopeless wasteland, their cynicism will slowly seep into your subconscious mind. You will start talking like them. You will start doubting like them. You will start giving up before you even try, just like them. Oprah Winfrey gave a piece of advice that should be framed on your office wall. Surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher. Notice the word she used, only. Not mostly, not when it's convenient, only. Your energy is your life force. You need it to build your career, take care of your body, love your family, and chase your dreams. Do not let chronic complainers plug their emotional vacuum into your battery. Step away. Protect your optimism. Guard your enthusiasm like your future depends on it, because it truly does. Behavior 7. The subtle sabotage of your growth. And finally, behavior number 7. The quiet, envious undermining of your success. This is often the most heartbreaking behavior to witness, because it almost always comes from the people closest to you. These are the people who claim to love you, but the moment you start leveling up, their behavior gets weird. You lose 30 pounds and get in the best shape of your life, and instead of celebrating, they say, "Make sure you don't get too skinny, you're starting to look gaunt." You launch a business or get a massive promotion, and they say, "Must be nice to have those connections. I guess you just got lucky." You start reading books and cutting out toxic habits, and they say, "Look at you, thinking you're better than everyone else now." Why do people do this? Because your growth holds up an unbearable mirror to their stagnation. As long as you were struggling, broke, and miserable alongside them, you were safe. You were proof that life was just unfair for everyone. The moment you stand up, break the cycle, and start winning, you shatter their excuses. Your progress forces them to confront the fact that their lack of success isn't bad luck, it's their own lack of discipline. Albert Einstein wrote, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." When someone consistently tries to dim your light, minimize your wins, or plant seeds of doubt in your mind, recognize it for what it is: fear and jealousy. You do not need to shrink yourself to make insecure people feel comfortable. You do not need to apologize for your work ethic, your ambition, or your victories. The people who genuinely love you will stand in the front row of your life, cheering at the top of their lungs when you win. Anyone who sits in the back row, whispering criticisms, has disqualified themselves from being in your inner circle. Now that we have laid out these 7 non-negotiable boundaries, let's talk about the hard part: execution. Setting hard boundaries with people, especially childhood friends, long-term partners, or family members, is one of the most terrifying things you will ever do. Let me tell you what is going to happen the moment you start enforcing these standards. People are going to get angry. They are going to call you selfish. They are going to claim you've become cold, arrogant, or disloyal. They will try to use guilt, tears, and family history to pull you back into the old dynamic where they had free rein to cross your lines. In those difficult moments, you must remember the core pillar of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot distinguish good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. None of them can hurt me." You cannot control how other people choose to act. You cannot force an immature person to develop self-awareness. You cannot cure someone else's toxicity. The only thing you control, the only thing you have ever controlled, is who gets access to your life and how you respond to bad behavior. Setting a boundary is not an act of hatred toward the other person. It is an act of supreme love for yourself. It is looking at your life, your time on this earth, and your mental sanity, and declaring, "My peace is non-negotiable. I will not allow my spirit to be collateral damage for someone else's unhealed issues." Take a look back across the 7 deal breakers we uncovered today. 1. Casual, insidious disrespect. 2. Emotional manipulation and guilt trips. 3. Chronic refusal to accept accountability. 4. Gaslighting and distortion of reality. 5. Repeated violations of sacred trust. 6. Contagious, cynical negativity. 7. Subtle sabotage of your growth and wins. These are not minor personality quirks. These are not things you just have to put up with. These are the lines in the sand. These are the non-negotiables of a self-respecting human being. Life is far too short, and your purpose is far too valuable to spend your precious years walking on eggshells, managing other people's fragile egos, and apologizing for wanting a peaceful existence. Starting today, raise your standards, clear out the clutter, speak your truth with calm authority, enforce your boundaries with unbroken resolve, and never ever apologize for protecting the sacred ground of your own soul. If you are ready to raise your standards and refuse to tolerate disrespect, leave a comment below saying, "My peace is non-negotiable." If this message gave you the strength, the backbone, and the clarity you needed today, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded of their own worth. Thank you for being here. Keep your standards high, guard your peace fiercely, and stay sovereign.